Hey, thanks again for joining us. You're listening to Big Brown Army. I'm your host, Cruz. You can visit Big Brown Army on the web at bigbrownarmy.com. I don't know why you'd go there, like Jordy said last time. You can subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, wherever your podcast is found. If you do listen to us on Apple Podcasts, please do us a favor. Take a moment, go write us a 5-star review. I would greatly appreciate that. I think the last one that we have is from Zimbly Munlu. Thank you so much, Zimbly Munlu, for your wonderful 6-star review. That's the Scientology review that we did, or that he did for us, and we ended up doing an episode on Scientology. Thank you, Zimbly Munlu, for doing that. And he specifically said no shout outs. So, well, here we are. No shout outs. Yeah. Anyway, I'm back with Ray today, and it's going to be fun. You know, Ray and I actually did an episode last week, which we decided not to, or the week before last, actually, we decided not to post it because, I don't know, I just felt like it wasn't good enough. So that's why there's been a lot of silence from my end over the last few days. But before we get to all of that, Joel Simpson. Okay, I don't even know if it actually played. If not, I'll just play it later.
Did you hear it?
I couldn't hear it either, but it's happened before.
See, now I'm vindicated.
No, sometimes it happens to me too, but
Vindicated.
not like every single time, like with you. So
I've been on this Jose Canseco kick. Do you know Jose Canseco?
Of course I know Jose Canseco. What about him?
Just going through his old interviews about steroids and stuff.
Oh.
He wrote, you know his books, right? Like the first book he wrote is Juiced.
Yeah, I know about Juice. I didn't realize he wrote like more after that.
The second one was called Vindicated.
Okay.
Which is
why was he vindicated?
Because nobody believed him. And he kept doing all these interviews where he's like, I have names, just wait till the book comes out. Wait till the book comes out.
And so he was vindicated.
And because Jose Canseco was, I think he had been arrested, been to jail. He's kind of a crazy, nobody believed him. It was like, imagine it was Jose Canseco versus like Mark McGuire. Who do you think was the heel?
No, I thought Jose Canseco was after the Mark McGuire stuff. Like after it was revealed that Mark McGuire was.
No, Jose Canseco was the one that was like, that brought all that about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't realize he was the first one.
Telling people in interviews like that he injected players personally and stuff, and went into the stall and injected Mark McGuire in the buttocks and stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, all that to say, I'm vindicated like Jose Canseco.
Dude, I remember my sister and I watching in the evenings when, like, that was the first time I ever actually started watching baseball games, was when Mark McGuire and Sammy Sosa,
I know,
were in that chase for the home run record, Roger Maris's record. Roger Maris, right? Yeah, Roger Maris's record.
But I don't think they broke. Did they break Maris's record? It was Barry Bonds that broke Maris's record.
No.
The McGuire Sosa thing was like they were. It was a race against each other to see who would.
No, it was to break Roger Maris's record for the home run record for the season, right?
Oh, okay. Was it Bonds that broke Hank Aaron's?
He broke Hank Aaron, but I think Bonds also broke the single season record.
3 of the craziest roid monsters ever in the history of professional sports.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, so he beat Roger Maris in 1998. Yeah, I remember this. So I was 12 years old when this happened. He beat Sammy Sosa. It was the game where the Sox,
the
Cubs, and he was playing for the Cardinals, were playing each other when he hit the 62nd.
Yeah,
and
so much
he ran around the
testosterone
bases
in that game.
He ran around the bases, and then he hugged Sammy Sosa. And
it probably smelled so bad when they hugged. It was just so much testosterone.
Yeah. I mean, that record stood for 37 years. Roger
And then he
Maris,
got shattered multiple times.
right? And then of course Barry Bonds beat it. Well, only Barry Bonds beat it in 2001, and it still stands today because by that time people were figuring out about steroids.
Yeah, Barry Bonds figured out how you can make your head grow. Like he figured out how to make gains on your skull size somehow.
So Barry Bonds' record has stood the test of time for
Yeah.
uh, basically 19 years, 2001. And then
Canseco's stories are hilarious. He talks about like going to in the locker room at the All-Star game. Like he's like, I took my shirt off, and Barry Bonds was like, "What the F have you been doing?" And then Canseco yells across the room, "The same thing you are." And then Barry Bonds just stops talking. And it's like in front of all the reporters and everything.
Okay, but here's the question. Did Barry Bonds was his voice always like that? Was it always like that kind of
It's kind of high.
high pitch kind of
Yeah,
thing?
he's
Or was
quiet.
that like
He was like
or
soft spoken.
was that a post steroid thing?
No,
That
I
his
think he was
voice
always soft spoken.
he was always like that? Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess McGuire always had it, right? Always had that
I
thing.
don't even remember McGuire's voice. I just remember his forearms were like the size of people's thighs.
Yeah. Yeah. But you know what's interesting is a lot of people seem to have forgiven McGuire.
Well, that's
Like
because everybody was on steroids back
like I mean
then.
he's like not as hated as like for example Barry Bonds, right?
That's well, I think Barry Bonds was always antagonistic towards the media. So
Yeah.
the media hated him.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he hated them too. So
Yeah.
that was a little, but then once it came out that everybody was on steroids, it's like I don't think anybody cares anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I believe, okay, so in the 2013 election, I'm talking about the Hall of Fame for baseball. Not a single player was voted in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting.
It's just a steroid era, you know. Everybody was on it. They were all huge. Everybody was jacked. They don't. So, like, baseball players today do not look like they did back then. They are smaller. They're like markedly smaller than they were during that era. It's crazy looking.
No, it is kind of crazy. But you know what? Baseball was fun that year. It was so much fun. Like, it was actually
everybody. Chicks dig the long ball is the saying.
Yeah. Hey, listen, we've already gone like, I don't know, 10 minutes into baseball stuff here randomly. This is what happens on the Big Brown Army. We just go into random things all the time. Wanted to just quickly talk about this because it would be super weird. It is Big Brown Army, and I talk a lot about India, my Indian heritage, as I'm Indian American, and I think it's important to me. I do want to acknowledge for the last 2-3 weeks, India has been going through serious hell. So COVID, the first wave hit last year, and then by February this year, it seemed like cases were down and the country was returning to normal. And a lot of public health experts basically said, like, hey, please don't stop wearing masks, don't stop doing social distancing, get vaccinated. India ended up sending over, I believe, 60 million doses of the vaccine.
AstraZeneca stuff.
Yeah, overseas that they manufactured inside the country. And then there were a couple of large festivals held where it was just like super spreader events, right?
When you say large, what's the scale of these festivals?
I'm talking like millions.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like I'm talking the Kumbh Mela, which basically happens in let's see, where does Kumbh Mela actually happen? It happens in a state called I think it's called Uttarakhand. Let me just make sure that I'm getting it right. But
I heard about these festivals and gatherings, and I was thinking like, 5,000 people or something.
No, Kumbh Mela usually gets over, like, so the largest one day attendance at the Kumbh Mela was in 2013, where 30 million people were there.
Oh.
In 2001, 60 million people showed up. It's a
How,
Hindu festival.
I don't know. How do 60 million people show up anywhere?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
I
not sure
mean,
how. I can't comprehend that. I don't
yeah.
understand. Where do they?
And 2019, 50 million people showed up. But in fact,
Wow.
this year's Kumbh Mela was less people, as far as I know, but it still hit, I think, about a million.
And
But
it's a religious festival.
it's a religious festival.
Okay.
What they do is they take a bath in the Ganges River,
Oh,
uh,
okay. Okay.
and it's just all the top. I don't know how to describe it. And honestly, I'm gonna be doing a really bad job of explaining it because it's not my religion.
Okay.
It happens in a city called Haridwar in India. It's in the state of Uttarakhand, and basically, I'm just trying to find a number here so that I can tell you guys. 2021. Yeah, so basically 1,700 attendees tested positive for COVID, and many people say that it's actually an undercount because it's very likely that there were more people
I mean, I thought
than
in
that.
the U.S., like some estimates of our positive test numbers, official ones, were like 10x less than
Yeah,
projections.
I mean, they just literally didn't have enough tests. Not enough people were getting tested. Severe symptoms were tested. Um, Suffice it to say, so we have tons of super spreader. I mean, the super spreader events, people going back to their hometowns after the festival. Combine that with essentially, I mean, this is the nightmare scenario that people talked about, right? COVID cases increase. There's not enough ICU beds, and then people start dying because doctors can't take care of them. And that's literally what's happening in Delhi. What was happening? It's gotten a lot better now, but in other parts of the country, now it's spreading to Nepal. People were dying in the waiting rooms. People were dying outside on stretchers. They were dying without oxygen. There literally wasn't enough oxygen to go around for people, and it was some of the most horrifying images. Last week, I mean, Ray, I mean, you know this because you and I talked about this. I was so, I think I felt helpless. It just felt out of control. It really was a nightmare scenario. And also because my parents live there right now, but not in some of these places where things are just awful. Like they're in the south of India where there's a surplus of oxygen being produced every day. And they're fine. They're about to get their second shot. But I got to tell you, I was pretty much like, you got to get on a flight and get back. My dad
Mm-hmm.
was like, calm down, it's fine. And I have lost a family member, and not someone super close to me or anything, but just someone in our family that that my
Mm-hmm.
family knows very well. And there's actually quite a few people, um, you know, the in my organization. There's somebody that died. There's people, friends, relatives. I'm hearing about a lot of people in the Christian community that have died in different places. So yeah, so it was a devastating time. Just wanted to acknowledge that it happened. I'm not going to talk too
Mm.
much about it. Uh, it feels weird for me to do a show and laugh and talk when something this crazy is going on, right? Something this insane is happening. Um,
Yeah, it's.
Halfway around the world.
I think that goes a long way. Just acknowledging it. It's like
Yeah,
anytime we hear about news like this, you automatically want to say, "Oh, what happened? Why is it happening? Who's to blame?" Like, what's the deal over there? But honestly, that it doesn't really help anything.
yeah,
I mean, there literally is no point to that sort of talk.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
about acknowledging it and praying for those affected, and
yeah,
those who can affect change is about all we can do right now.
yeah. I mean, there's a couple of things that the U.S. government was pressured to do. The Biden administration was pressured to do, which one was to basically uh, send over equipment and remove the ban on export of COVID vaccines or raw exports, which basically means the materials needed to produce the vaccine. Thankfully, the Biden administration did do that. And then I believe this week, and I'm not sure how I feel about this, but I think they're opening up the intellectual patent for the vaccines globally.
Yeah,
I'm
like
not a huge
Moderna,
fan.
right?
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of this only because I don't know. I think, yeah. I mean, we can talk about it another time. That's where my capitalist mindset comes in, because I think as much as you hate the profit motive, I think a profit motive is a motive, right? It's
Hmm.
motivation for these drug companies to make these amazing drugs
Do
and
you
to
think it has
have
to
it.
do with the government funding that Moderna and Pfizer received to develop it? Do you think
They
that's
didn't
like a
really
back
fund
end?
it. I
Okay.
mean, there wasn't a lot of the government. What the government really did
I thought
was
they received like in $100 billion.
no. They received they got a contract to purchase
Oh,
like
okay.
for so. I'm talking about Pfizer right now, right? The
Yeah.
Pfizer drug. Um, the U.S. government purchased, signed a contract with them to
Yeah.
get the drug.
Hmm.
Um, but and part of the way that this worked was that the U.S. government removed a lot of the red tape.
Hmm.
That's a huge part of it as well. So
Hmm.
obviously I'm talking about stuff that I don't have the full depth of knowledge on. I think just at a basic level, some of the people that I follow are saying the same thing. It's just that, there's a profit motive. I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know how to balance all of that. Hey, so random crazy news in the Pacific Northwest. Ray, what's going on here?
It is yet another billionaire couple divorce,
Yeah.
which is kind of crazy. How long ago?
The
Time time
Bezos
makes
thing
no
happened.
sense to me right now. How long ago was?
The Bezos thing happened like last year, I
Oh
think.
wow, okay. Jeff
Yeah.
and Mackenzie Bezos.
Yeah.
Bezos.
Yeah. Mackenzie Scott now, I believe.
Yeah. And now we have Bill and Melinda Gates
Yeah.
of the Bill
Well,
and Melinda Gates Foundation.
actually, hold on. Bezos and Scott announced in 2019.
Oh, okay.
Last year doesn't count. It's just
Okay.
a blur.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the biggest divorce ever was Jeff and Mackenzie. So do you think, it sounds like, they literally, someone was saying on Twitter, like, they had to announce this publicly before it happened to
Hmm.
like assure markets like nothing crazy is going to happen, like because they're worth that much money, like so much.
Really?
There's so many things that like his real estate portfolio is like $167 million, just that.
Yeah,
And
he
it's actually very
recently bought
small.
up all this farmland, right?
Yeah, I'm my understanding is that he's like one of the largest private landowners in the US,
Is
I
he
think.
not the largest at this point
I don't know if he's
with
the
his recent
largest, or he might
purchases?
be the private, maybe as a private individual. But um, and then of course there's the foundation, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which has about, I know that it has at least 50 billion. It could have more than that. I think it could have like $100 billion.
Wow.
Yeah, Ray, you and I both work in nonprofits. Can you imagine if either of our nonprofits suddenly was told, here's $50 billion to do whatever you want
And what
with?
about like here's 50,000, 100,000. So it doesn't even have to be billion.
It doesn't even have to be a billion. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Um,
crazy. It
yeah.
doesn't. I can't really comprehend the scale of something like that, or the scale of a divorce, and the
Yeah.
arrangements of how this is going to happen.
But it is kind of crazy because I don't know how long Bezos and Mackenzie were married to each other, but like, it was, as I told my roommate, and he actually reacted with like, oh man, that's really disappointing because they had been married for 27 years.
I know.
And
He's like
people,
67,
yeah,
sixty-five, right?
they had a
Yeah.
pretty big age difference when they got married.
Yeah.
He was 38 and I think she was 28 or 29
Okay.
when they got married. Um, I mean, his house is, you know, here in the Seattle area. And have you ever seen it on that?
No, I haven't seen it.
If you do this boat tour, they kind of go by,
Hmm.
they kind of point out where it is.
And they say like that's
Like,
somebody's house over there who you might know.
I read a piece a long time ago about somebody that went to the Microsoft house, Bill Gates' house for like a Microsoft party
Mm-hmm.
once, and he said he came in. I mean, it was a great little piece, like a blog post. And there's like this old like Honda Accord or something sitting in the driveway. Like he still had that car. Like Gates still had his old car hanging out, and it was just like incredible. It was like an outdoor reception, so they didn't actually get to go into the house.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they wanted to use a bathroom, there was like a bathroom
Yeah.
nearby. But yeah,
It's crazy. I don't pretend to understand how this works because I never experienced a divorce,
mm-hmm.
So I'm not trying to downplay, relationship issues and whatnot. But, you know, there are some accounts that say this Bill and Melinda Gates were living this sort of lifestyle for a while, before this.
Like you mean like they were
Yeah, separate.
separate,
Yeah. Yeah.
but yet
And
still
then I
married?
think
Yeah,
the same thing was said about Jeff Bezos. But then this one is like the man is 65, like you're already living separated lives.
yeah.
I'm not sure, in my head it doesn't add up. If you're already living this way, why at 65 do you make this decision?
I thought maybe it's when the kids got out of college or were out of the home.
They got to be, oh, okay. Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I think both their kids are now done with college.
Okay.
I don't know what the son does, but I know the daughter does like equestrian horse riding things.
Oh, okay.
Bill
That's
Gates
cool.
bought like $60 million worth of property to
Wow.
to encourage her horse riding
Wow. Okay.
equestrian habit.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's like when you buy a computer for your kids,
He
right?
doesn't
To encourage their
seem normal to me.
Bill Gates.
Yeah.
Well, when Bill Gates wanted to marry Melinda Gates, apparently he created a pro con list of, you know, pros of why he should marry her and cons to make the decision
I heard about
to
that
get
too.
married.
Was that list presented to her? Like,
I think she
here's
knew about
why.
the list. Yeah.
Oh, she did.
Yeah, I think she knew about the list.
Was it, you think it was one of those like, oops, I can't believe somebody actually sent that to you? Like when somebody like accidentally gets CC'd on an email that's like,
Yeah.
oh, I
Yeah.
really can't work with this person. Oh gosh, I can't believe this got sent to you.
No, I mean, I have accidentally sent someone
Oh,
something that was not intended for something else. So nowadays, I'm like super paranoid. Anytime like I send something which is critical of someone else, like I double check and triple check the email, and I also choose not to be overly critical ever.
that happened on the Lakers. I think Magic Johnson, like quote unquote, got accidentally copied on an email that was like, "Why do we have him around here?"
Oh,
Like,
really?
yeah.
That's funny. That is funny. Yeah. Uh, that's hilarious. Um, so okay, so with this whole Bill Gates, Melinda Gates divorce thing, another thing came up. Um, and again, this is on Twitter. Somebody was saying like, it's crazy that two people divorcing would have this much impact on everything, like grants and like fellowships and like
Mm-hmm.
vaccines and like
Yeah,
public health
yeah.
and corporations, people's jobs, and she was like, billionaires should not exist. What do you think about that when somebody says billionaires should not exist?
I I don't know what's the reasoning. Like, where does that thought come from? What's the rationale behind that?
Like they have too much influence and control over the world. Like when somebody has that much money, they're like super powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And they, like I just said, like they impact so many different things,
Yeah.
right?
Mm, gosh, I gotta chew on that for a little. I don't. There's nothing like inherently evil about being a billionaire. I don't understand. So, like, if someone's approaching that, you should throw them in billionaire jail. Where you scrape off money until. Is it like scraping off a scab? Like, oh, you're about to be a billionaire. We take that from you.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I think these people would say just tax them more.
Yeah. Well, I mean, The only thing in my mind is like when you compare, the richest people like Bill Gates, and then you think about extreme poverty, it's kind of hard to. That's a hard scenario for me, to
I mean, I
accept in my
just
mind.
yeah, I mean, I get it. I just don't know that extreme poverty is going to be resolved by
It's not.
Bill Gates suddenly giving.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying he can resolve it. I'm just saying it's a hard scenario in my mind.
Yeah,
People as rich as this exist, while people as poor as the poorest people in the world exist.
that's true. I
Now, I'm not saying he he's supposed to solve it. I'm just saying it's a difficult scenario for me.
sometimes I get irritated seeing like like I don't know, like Bill Gates to me has been pretty inspirational with
Mm-hmm.
his the work that he's done,
Yeah.
in different countries in terms of like
Yeah.
malaria and polio,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the way that he's, I mean, I think he's eradicated through
Yeah.
the Bill Gates Foundation, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, certain things. So,
By all accounts, he is giving away the majority of his wealth, right? It's
yeah,
not passed down to his children.
yeah. I mean, the children have enough. Don't get me wrong, but
It's like you don't get 10 billion, you get
yeah.
500 million instead.
It's like Donald Trump's $1 million loan. His rags to riches story. He started. I came from nothing. My father gave me a
Yeah.
$1 million loan.
When Fred Trump gave him the $1 million loan.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. I mean, there's this thing in American culture where I don't think Americans would ever want to get rid of billionaires.
Mm-hmm.
At least I don't think so, because for whatever reason, Americans think that they can be that billionaire
Yeah.
for whatever foolish reason, Uh, I
But it's
feel like
weird.
I
Like,
can be
could a lot has been said about Jeff Bezos and how much more he makes than the lowest paid, employee at Amazon.
right.
And it's like, there's not much that can be done about that. But I always think like, would
What do you mean? I
Jeff?
think there's a lot that can be done about that.
Well, I mean, but as long as we live in this country, in capitalism,
Oh,
that's
you
going to
mean like
exist.
no? Sorry, I meant that Jeff can do a lot about
Oh,
it.
Jeff can do a lot about that, but if
Yeah,
he's not,
yeah. If he's
in
not
that,
willing, yeah,
yeah,
there's not a lot that
or
you can
even
do.
if he didn't exist, that would exist in this country, is what I'm
Yeah,
saying. But would he be able to like sit at a table with a group of Amazon fulfillment center workers and be normal and have conversation, and be comfortable there?
there's this video of David Blaine doing a magic trick for Jeff Bezos, and
I think
it's
I've seen a
clear that
screenshot of it.
Bezos has just come out of some sort of event, like it's a black tie fundraiser,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like all these like men around, and it definitely looks like it was like Mr. Moneybags convention or something. Like it's
Yeah.
just like like evil, cartel of rich people around the globe or something. It just looked like the Bilderberg Group or something.
Was MBS standing behind him?
MPS was not there, but
Oh, okay.
but like David Blaine does the trick, and as he's doing the trick, Bezos does this laugh, and that laugh, and it's just like that laugh is clearly the laugh of someone who just like you know uses dollar bills as like toilet paper, like
Oh.
like he doesn't care for it. I mean, like it seemed like such an evil laugh. I was like,
Oh, okay.
man, this man is just he can do whatever he wants. Like
Yeah.
he literally. I don't know if you've been around people that are like super wealthy and like their families or their kids or whatever. And sometimes you're like, man, you can tell when someone's been raised to just be able to say whatever they want and do whatever they want whenever.
I've heard
Right?
there's a Vince McMahon story that he
Is this
is
the
the real
airplane
life
story?
$1 million man. Yeah.
Is this the airplane story?
Yeah, where somebody's
Yeah.
smoking next to him.
Yeah, tell the story. It's a great story.
So there's a wrestler in the 80s called the $1 Million Man, and his gimmick was that he was
Ted
just super
DiBiase.
rich. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he had a servant, he would pay for stuff, he would like snap his fingers and just buy stuff. But apparently the owner of the WWE, Vince McMahon, was like the real life inspiration for that. And so they're sitting on a plane in the 80s and someone's smoking next to him, and he's like, "Hey pal, you mind putting that smoke out?" And the guy goes, "No." And he's like, "I'll pay you $500 to put that out." And the guy still says no. I think he just keeps escalating. And
Yeah.
what's the end of it? Does he end up buying the guy like a first class seat or something, or paying him
He gives him
$1,000?
he gives him like 1,000 or something, like more than that, to get him to stop smoking. Just hilarious to me. Imagine just being able to just pay. Like,
But
just,
that is the $1 Million Man gimmick, right? You just
yeah,
keep taking out hundreds until the person does what you want them to do.
yeah. That's, I mean, yeah. He so speaking of Vince McMahon, McMahon is now a billionaire,
Yeah, for sure.
right? And
Because of publicly owned Titan Sports, right?
yeah. No.
Oh no,
Is
were they bought by NBC?
No, I mean they're just WWE when IPO. By that time
Oh yeah.
he was a billionaire, you know. Also, you know, if you guys listen to our episode on GameStop and we talked about Doge had its first billionaire,
Oh
right?
yeah.
The guy he put in $180,000.
How do you put in 180,000
Yeah,
into a joke?
but you know, I put in $100 into Doge,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I was just like, if it just goes up like 10 cents, I'll be happy.
Well,
Like,
that's what I get. Like, somebody who has the money to say, "Oh, I'm just gonna put in like $50, and if I lose it, oh well." That was kind of like
yeah,
buying a lottery ticket. I get that,
right.
but then putting in like 100K into a coin that has a cute dog on it is ridiculous, you know. But I guess who's the fool and who's the
Who is the
billionaire?
fool?
I wonder if Bill Gates invested in Dogecoin. You know he had to have.
He probably took like
Maybe
he's like,
he's the Dogecoin whale. There apparently exists a whale who owns 25 billion in Dogecoin, and nobody knows who this person is.
oh, they don't know who it is.
No,
I
and
thought,
people
oh,
suspect
that's
it's
hilarious.
Robin Hood. People suspect it is Robin Hood itself that
Oh,
owns this, but
that's
Robin Hood keeps
hilarious.
denying it.
What do you think?
I mean, there's people that have like checked out the wallet and said this has to be Robin Hood, but nobody. I wouldn't be shocked. They
Yeah, I
keep
mean,
flat out denying it though. That's not us. We don't own that Dogecoin.
um, do you own Dogecoin?
I do.
You do
Yeah.
still?
Yeah, of
Okay.
course.
Are you able to talk about how much you have in it, or no? You don't want to talk about it.
I could talk about it. I can kind of
Tell us. Tell us. Tell the
I
people,
can
bro.
in a way that okay, I would have I
Okay, yeah,
got in
tell us about that.
well, we didn't talk about Bill Gates's his prenup agreement.
There is no prenup agreement.
Or it wasn't in a prenup, but his arrangement with Melinda.
Oh, tell us about the
We have
arrangement.
to talk about
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Okay, okay.
So he's
But then we'll
not.
come back to Dogecoin
Yeah.
after that.
I think everybody's probably read this by now, but apparently he had an arrangement with Melinda, his wife, where he would get to spend a long weekend with his ex girlfriend every year. Like just him and the ex girlfriend. Like Melinda is not in this arrangement at all, which is very odd. And I guess it was the agreement was in place, right? Didn't this trip happen?
Yeah. I mean, I don't understand any of that, right? Like apparently this is true. Her name is, we can say her name, Anne Winblad.
Are you shaming her right now?
I mean, it's in the newspapers,
I'm
right?
just kidding. I'm just kidding.
So the billionaire Microsoft founder. So this is what I don't get. It's not okay. So if you guys are listening, it's not like, you know, 20 years in his marriage or 10 years in his marriage, he finds her on Facebook and he's like, hey, let's just meet up and let's hang out or whatever. Like Netflix and chill. That's not what happened here. This this is literally the New York Post says that this bizarre arrangement was part of the deal when he married Melinda
Yeah,
in 1994.
that's pretty crazy. But
Wait, hold on. So this is not, bro. This is not. Okay. The New York Post says this was actually in a Time magazine profile
yeah, yeah.
in 1997.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So he's like totally admitted it. I mean, he just said we can play putt putt while discussing biotechnology. Gates said
I've
of
never
his.
heard it referred to as putt putt, but it makes
Gates
total
said of his
sense.
private getaways with fellow nerd techie and ex Anne Winblad, who is now happily married to actor Kevin Kline's detective brother Alex Kline.
Gosh, that's a
Gates even sought Winblad's approval before proposing to his wife.
whoa.
Yo, what is going on? That is just super weird.
That's weird. Oh, so I know so that pro and con list,
Yeah.
he probably gave it to her. She probably like accidentally let Melinda see it. Do you think that's the scenario I want to go with in my head?
Yo, how do you think Melinda would felt in 1997, 3 years after they get married, and Bill is telling Time magazine in a profile that, you know, he hangs out with the ex-girlfriend?
So that's another the arrangement is very sad on its face, but then also to make that public is pretty sad too, right? If you're Melinda Gates.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't want people to know like if my spouse had an arrangement like that, you know?
Okay, so I, I'm like reading the Time magazine piece right now. So, on a vacation to Brazil, he took James Watson's 1,100-page textbook, Molecular Biology. Like,
That's his leisure. That's his beachside reading,
dude,
the
I totally
textbook.
forgot how much of a nerd this guy is. Like,
What do you mean you forgot how much of a nerd he
I
is?
mean, like you just kind of get used to him as like this elderly statesman kind of guy, but you forget that he took 1,100-page textbook
He is like a robot.
to on a vacation to Brazil, and they studied bioengineering together. Okay, so this seems less and less like, I don't know. It just seems like they hung out and, you know,
Okay, but
studied together.
no,
On
but
another vacation to Santa Barbara, California ranch, she took tapes of Richard Feynman's lectures at Cornell, and they studied physics.
okay, I've never heard it referred to like that either.
They studied quote unquote physics
It's like, what,
on
Melinda?
a,
We just study physics together.
and on a large excursion with friends. So there was other people to Central Africa, which ended at some beach cottages on an island off Zanzibar. Among their companions was anthropologist Donald Johanson, known for his work on the human ancestor Lucy, who helped teach them about human evolution. In the evenings on each trip, they would go to the beach with 4 or 5 other couples for bonfires, Hood Canal style games, and a tradition they called a sing down, where each team is given a word and has to come up with songs that feature it.
Hmm.
What?
It's kind of picturing like the Bohemian Grove in my head right now.
Yeah, he asked her for approval. Oh, and every spring, okay, so this was before he got married, was all the stuff I just told you about. But then after they got married, even now, Gates has an arrangement with his wife. This is being written in 1997 again in Time magazine. He and Winblad, arrangement with his wife, he and Winblad keep one vacation tradition alive. Every spring, as they have for more than a decade, Gates spends a long weekend with Winblatt at her beach cottage on the Outer Banks of North Carolina, where they ride dune buggies, hang glide, and walk on the beach.
That's weird. They do so many activities together that everything but they're doing everything but.
I just, I'm just shocked.
That's
I'm
weird. He's not
flabbergasted.
normal. That's not normal behavior by any means.
I mean, one of my favorite videos is, of course, the viral one that everybody knows about is the Windows launch when they're all dancing on stage.
There's a video of him dancing?
Well, he's pretty much just clapping and
Oh,
looking
okay.
super weird. Who are the other people? They're all looking super weird.
Balmer wasn't there?
Bomber, yeah, Bomber's there.
I bet
Alan's there
Balmer was
too.
dancing and sweating like a pig.
Yeah, I mean that's the famous one. Bomber dancing. That's where it comes from. Is
Oh, okay.
that
And
famous
he's
that
like
famous video?
completely pitted out of his shirt, like he always is.
Oh gosh. Well, hopefully, the kids are okay. Kids, I mean adults, whatever, and they're able to settle stuff amicably.
Hmm.
It does make you sad. I mean, it really kind of made me sad though, because I mean, I thought they were okay. They were solid, but
It
shows us what we know.
Yeah, it does. I don't know. It just always it comes out of the blue, because I guess high profile couples like this would never let anything like this come out in public, right? And so
Yeah,
I guess we're always just slammed by the news of these things, but
yeah,
maybe everybody that they know is not shocked by it. Like I said, who knows how long they've been living this way, so
yeah. I mean, separate bedrooms. I mean, it's a big enough house that they probably had like, you know, when Bill Gates has to sleep on the couch, do you think he sleeps on the couch or does he just, you know,
they
go to his other house?
I know, or like one of the other 30 bedrooms in his home or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyway,
Uh, anyway, speaking of marriage stuff, I sent you this earlier, but I just wanted to point this out. This bride in India, after an arranged marriage, decided to leave her groom at the altar. Well, it's the garlanding ceremony. He felt like she wasn't educated. She felt like he wasn't very educated, wasn't as bright as they claimed. It was an arranged marriage. They're probably seeing each other for the first time. This is one of like super arranged stuff, and she decides to test her on math.
she
And
tests the groom.
sorry, she tests him on math. I can't get my pronouns right, and she basically asked him to recite the times tables like two, and he couldn't do it, and she walked out. Um, I mean, if you like, Ray, if you threw a random math thing at me right now, I wouldn't be able to answer it. I can do times tables up until a certain number.
I thought the story as you described it was like she asked him to count by twos and he couldn't do it. Like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12.
I mean, that's yeah, that's pretty much the time to.
But that's like one step away from like, can you just count?
I mean, no, that's what I'm saying. It's literally count by two, right? I mean, it's just
I know, like
yeah.
if he couldn't do that, then the next question would be like, can you just count like starting from 1 and go up? Like I'm just saying you can't get much lower in your mathematics knowledge than count by 2.
I know that okay, Ray, I don't know if you know this about me, but I suck at math.
Hmm.
Did you know this about me?
I didn't know that.
No, are you kidding? No, you knew
I
that, right?
didn't.
Oh, I am awful at math. Like terrible.
Hmm.
It's really sad how bad I am. Right. And so yeah, so I am like, I'm always scared that someone's going to randomly, you know, ask me a math question. Like I had a roommate, Ani, if you're listening, I don't know if he listens occasionally, but like he used to do this to me. He used to be like, "What's 12 times 8?" You know,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd be like, "Ah!" Actually, what is 12 times 8?
96?
Wow.
Is it?
So how
It is, yeah.
like how high can you go on the times tables?
I don't know if I can just like recite all the times tables. I mean, I had math drilled into me. But you know what's interesting? I've talked to other people about this, like math brained people.
Right.
They describe the same thing as I like you kind of visualize what numbers are in your head. It's does that happen to you? If you think about numbers, you kind of visualize them.
I I'm trying to think right now.
That's probably a no.
Okay. Tell me this. So let's say you get a number like 65 times 12.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How do you solve 65 times 12?
I'll do like 65 times 10, which is 650, and then 65 times 2, which is 130.
Uh huh.
And then that's what? 780? 650 plus 130?
Okay. I would not have done that.
Really? See, that's what.
Bro, I'm so bad at math. I can't even describe to you how bad I am.
You should do
It's a shock to me
Singapore
that
math.
yeah. I mean, I sometimes like, I don't know, dude. I don't know what happened to me, but especially when all these Indian kids got drilled with math, I definitely have no idea what I'm doing. No idea.
It's okay.
Um,
Everybody's brain is wired differently.
Mine is not wired.
No, you probably have other, like open ended thinking. I have a problem with open ended thinking.
I
Everything
don't know what
has
that
to be
means.
like, black or white, or like have an answer or can be computed. You tell me to
Interesting.
start on something, like start a thought or something, it's pretty hard.
Hmm.
I need the guardrails. That's probably like the math side of me.
Right. Okay. Hey. Last thing before we go off the air. Did you hear about this? Okay. Caveat is that this is in the UK Sun,
Okay.
and we bash the UK. It's the US Sun. Sorry, not the UK Sun, but it's the Sun. It's a tabloid. Uh, they say that men with hair loss appear to be at greater risk of severe COVID. Bald men are twice as likely to suffer severe COVID, and they have a picture of Jason Statham
Whoa. Okay.
in the article.
Okay.
And a team of U.S. doctors measured men's sensitivity to androgens, counting a chemical called CAG. High levels indicate that a man is more likely to have hair loss. Like that, of 65 men hospitalized with infection, those with high CAG levels had worse COVID outcomes in the 60 days following their hospitalization.
Wow. That's interesting.
So,
Anything's
yeah,
possible, I guess. I don't. This thing is crazy. I would believe it. What about women with hair loss?
yeah, I think that particular thing affects all these people. Alopecia,
That's crazy.
androgynous alopecia.
I wonder if that's. Are there countries where there's a higher percentage of adults who are bald? I'd love to see that data. Certain countries where baldness is more persistent or
You think it's like
prevalent.
around
Prevalent.
like Chernobyl area or something?
Where everyone's like, albino, albinoism is.
Like,
It's like that movie Powder. Remember?
no, I never watched Powder.
Remember
What's that about?
Powder, where he's an albino and then he can like he has magnetic powers. He can control electricity.
Hmm.
He keeps getting bullied. You don't remember that movie from the 90s?
No,
Here, I'll
I
send
never
you the
watched that.
link in Zencaster.
Don't send me the link in Zencaster. We've established it doesn't work at all.
If you
Oh,
know about the movie Powder, please email us. The Cruise doesn't know any of my references.
hey, I do have a shout out to give out.
Okay.
Got a great little message from somebody the other day, and it's always crazy to me when someone's like listening to the podcast. I'm like, wow, you guys listen to the podcast. So Abhilash Tal wrote in, um, love this podcast, gives a voice to my experience growing up as a conflicted Indian Christian growing up in the West, trying to reconcile my Indianness and culture of Western Christianity. So
That's
thank you,
awesome.
Abhilash,
Thank
for
you for
listening.
listening.
Yeah, that's really cool. I hope that we haven't disappointed you.
I'm glad I can
Clearly not.
help you speak to your experience as an Indian growing up here. I'm
Yeah.
glad I've helped with that.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you,
Nobody
Ray.
knows what I look like, though. I very well could be.
No, I mean people who watched it, and we talk about your Koreanness
Oh
all
yeah,
the time.
people watched it.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
People, you're doxxed, bro. People know who you are.
Oh,
I purposely don't mention parts of your life though. I'm just like, because I know you like to keep it more private than.
that's why sometimes I shave and sometimes I don't.
Yeah.
People recognize me.
Hey, anything interesting you're watching right now? Anything cool? Something we should hear about?
Shoot. Oh, Dark Side of the Ring.
Oh yeah, I love Dark Side of the
Have
Ring.
you?
So
I
I
don't
heard
have
it's season 3,
Vice.
right?
I don't have Vice though. How do you watch it?
I don't know how I watched it. I watched the first season. I watched. Okay, you know what I did? I downloaded certain episodes that I wanted to
Oh,
watch. I didn't
okay.
watch all of it. So like, I watched like the Owen Hart one. So like, I paid for it.
They
I paid
put
like
that
two
up
ninety
on
nine.
YouTube. They
Oh,
uploaded it.
well, I guess I should have just waited.
And they uploaded part 1 of Brian Pillman.
Oh, Brian Pillman. That's the
Yeah.
one I want to. I mean, it's a sad story, man. That's the Hart
Well,
Foundation
all of
people.
them are sad stories.
Kevin Von Erich, Ken Von Erich, the
Or
Von
was it
Erich family.
Carrie Von Erich, Texas
Carrie Von Erich.
Tornado? Their whole
I mean,
family,
the
actually.
Von Erich family. Like, it's like most of them died by suicide or something, right? Most
Anyway,
of the brothers.
what Dark Side of the Ring is, I would encourage. I think it's just a good show in general. It's
Yeah.
basically documentaries centered on people involved in wrestling, wrestlers, or like situations involved in wrestling that gives you kind of like a behind the scenes look. Because there's some, as you could imagine, people who were involved in the wrestling business historically have lived pretty wheels off lives.
Yeah. I mean, but it's actually kind of sad though, because it's one of the professions where people, these men are dying.
Sure.
I mean, they were. I don't know if that's the case anymore, but for a while, they were dying in their 40s.
Yeah, all those
or
70s
50s.
and 80s wrestlers were just dropping like flies.
Just dropping. I mean, the fact that my favorite wrestler of all time, Bret Hart, the Hitman Hart, is still with us is,
He's had like multiple strokes though. It's crazy.
Yeah,
But
he has.
anyway,
He got-
Dark Side of the Ring is so good because of this crazy world of wrestling, you have a series of documentaries that range from like true crime to like murders to, obviously drug use to like freak accidents to
Right.
it's just like a whole gamut of crazy stories. And even if you're not a wrestling fan, I would encourage anybody to watch. It's very interesting.
Yeah. Awesome. Dark Side of the Ring, I think season 3 is out now, right, Ray?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I am watching a new series on Netflix, just came out today. I just watched like 1 episode or 2 episodes of it, but it's about the Son of Sam murders in the 70s.
Okay.
I love the stuff, like the crime fiction stuff. Not crime, I mean nonfiction stuff.
Yeah.
Fascinates me. Really, really into that.
Did you watch Don't F with Cats?
No, I couldn't get into the.
Okay.
It's
pretty messed up.
Yeah, I can't watch stuff like that. That to me is too graphic for some reason.
Well, it's not that graphic, but just it's kind of a heavy topic of animal cruelty and suffocating cats and stuff. It's pretty dark.
Have you seen Invincible yet?
Yeah, the Disney movie about that guy who became a Philadelphia Eagle, Vince
Okay, I
Papali.
remember we talked about this
It's
on
that
the
Mark
episode that
Wahlberg
wasn't uploaded.
movie.
Yeah, okay, we're done. Hey, crazy kind of milestone here, right? I believe that we're past 1 year of Big Brown Army.
What?
This might be our 89th episode,
Whoa. Okay.
I think.
I'm looking at something that says episode 90.
I know, but the count is always wrong on Zencaster.
Okay.
So I don't think it's 90. I think it's like 89.
Okay.
But we're close to our 100th episode. What should we do with our 100th episode?
I don't know.
Of Big Brown Army.
Should we do a lot, like, we got to do a video version of it, right? For number 100?
Must we?
Yeah. And we have to get all of our famous guests back, of which we've had a ton. We
I do want to reach out to the Indian matchmaking folks.
Oh yeah.
I want to see if we can get them back here. They were so kind to us.
I know. See if you can get Proud Human on.
Oh, it took me a second. Bro, your memory is insane.
Why?
I couldn't I remembered it, but I wouldn't have been able to make that reference like right off the bat. That's crazy to me that you can do that. Proud Human. God. Yeah, it's pretty.
Do you think Vinay will come back?
I gotta send him a message and see
what
he
about
says.
Nadia? Can we? Was that her name?
Nadia said no, right?
Oh, okay.
She never responded. Ideally, what would be amazing. This is some insider stuff. I would love to get Vinay and Nadia on the same show.
I know. They hate each other though.
He doesn't hate her.
Well, I mean, he's doing the high road bit.
Yeah. I had a friend who listened to the Vinay interview and still came away saying like, nah.
Oh, they weren't buying it?
Yeah. They weren't buying it at all.
You gotta be careful.
Like,
he's so slick. He's very smooth.
Yeah, he is. I may have to get back on Instagram for this. I don't know that I want to do that. Any last words before we head out? Thank you, man. Thanks for doing this.
No, thank you. That was fun. I enjoyed it. As
always. It's always fun with you. I might just literally after we stop recording, I might go crash. I'm so tired suddenly. You think the intro is going to work this time or the outro?
Yeah, I think so. I feel good about it.
It's going to work this time. Okay, well, thank you everybody for listening to this episode of Big Brown Army. Thank you, Ray, for being here with us. It's always fun to be with all of you. Please subscribe to us. Please go give our podcast 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. 6 stars. Yes. 8 stars, 10 stars, whatever. However many stars you want. But if you have any questions for us, please email us at bigbrownarmy@gmail.com or reach out to me on Twitter. You can find me at DeCruzP on Twitter or at Big Brown Army. You can also find me on Clubhouse. So come find me on Clubhouse and follow me. At some point, I'll be able to create a Clubhouse club for us. But before we say goodnight, Joel Simpson.